You can do the identity work, journal it, name it, believe it in the mirror at 6 a.m. And then you walk into brunch with the same three friends. And by the second mimosa, you're doing the old bit again. The fixer, the funny one, the one who always has it together. And not because you lied to yourself, because the room hasn't gotten the memo. Here's what nobody tells you about identity change. You don't just have to become someone new. You have to get the people around you to stop casting you as someone old. So today we're talking about the mirror test and how the people closest to you reveal exactly which identity you're still actually living in, whether you meant to retire it or not. So a quick intro, if you're new here. I'm Dr. Tora Brown, and this is Best Life, where high-achieving women build the next chapter of their life and career on purpose instead of on autopilot. We work inside of the BEST framework, which is body, your energy and vitality. The E in BEST is expectations. Your schedule is the S, and T is truth. Today, we're back in the truth pillar because truth doesn't just live in your head, it lives in your relationships. And if that's the work you're here for, subscribe. This is exactly the conversation this channel exists for. So, the reflection problem. And here's something we didn't say plainly enough in the last video. Identity isn't just internal, it's co-authored. Every relationship you have contains a working theory of who you are, built from years of data, old stories, and familiar roles. Most of the people in your life are not updating that theory in real time. They are running on the last stable version that they have of you. So when you walk into that room with your new identity, the one who delegates, who doesn't overfunction, who takes up space instead of managing everyone else's comfort, the room doesn't see her. The room sees the last version they have on file, and the room responds to that version. It asks the old questions. It hands you the old job. Not out of malice. This isn't done out of malice. It's done out of muscle memory. This is how they remember you. This is how they know you. To them, this is you, the old version, not the new identity of who you are. And this is why identity work that only happens in isolation, journaling, therapy, a solo retreat weekend, can feel powerful, and then it evaporates by Tuesday. You didn't fail. You did the internal work, and then you walked straight back into a room that's still mirroring the old you back at yourself. And mirrors are convincing, aren't they? If 5 people in a row treat you like the fixer, some part of you will start fixing again, just to match the reflection that you're seeing. And so I want to talk about why this isn't their fault, and actually why it's still your problem. I know that might sound a little harsh, but let's just go into this. I want to be precise here because it's tempting to make this about other people's limitations. It's not, mostly, because no one can read your internal renovation. You know you've retired the "I must never be the weak link" identity that we talked about last time. But they don't, because you never told them. You just quietly stopped acting like her, sometimes, inconsistently, while still answering to her name whenever they used it. From the outside, that doesn't look like growth. It looks like unpredictability. So they keep reaching for the version of you that's reliable because reliable is the only version they've been given evidence for. And so this is what I call identity casting. People cast you in the role they last saw you play well. And casting doesn't change on its own. It changes when you either announce the recast or you make the old role unavailable by consistently declining to play it. I know that one's tough, right? And here's the uncomfortable part. If you're serious about the identity shift, at some point you have to say the sentence out loud to the actual people in your life, not just to your journal. And here are the kind of things that you're going to need to say. I'm not managing everyone's schedule anymore. I'm not going to be the one who smooths this over. Said once to the room, not performed silently and hoped for. Okay? You've got to say it. And I know that that's tough, right? So let's jump in and talk about what that recast conversation looks like. I had a client, a nonprofit executive, brilliant, the person everyone called first in a crisis, who did 6 months of real internal identity work, rebuilt the truth pillar in her life, and knew exactly who she was becoming. And she still found herself 3 separate times taking on a project that nobody else wanted because, well, her board still cast her as the one who handles it. The internal work wasn't the missing piece. The recast conversation was. We built a script, not confrontational, just clear. I want to keep contributing at the strategy level. I'm not the right person to run on execution anymore, and I want to help identify who is. She said a version of that sentence 4 times to 4 different people in 4 different rooms. The casting changed within about a month, and not because the board had a revelation, but because she stopped being available for the old part and gave them a clear alternative to cast instead. This is the part that most identity content skips. It treats identity as a solo project you complete and then unveil. Well, it's not a reveal. It's a renegotiation that needs to be said out loud more than once to specific people in specific rooms. That's when you see a real shift. So, what do you do when the room won't recast you? Because that happens. Sometimes you say the sentence clearly more than once, and the room still won't update the casting. That's not you failing the recast conversation. That's data. The same data we talked about in the anchor versus rocket ship conversation. And if you haven't heard that one, you might want to go back and listen to it. It's the video right before this one. Some conversations are optimized for your old role because your old role serves their comfort. And no amount of clarity will get a mirror to reflect something it's not invested in seeing. When that happens, the move isn't to argue harder for the recast. It's to go find rooms that will mirror the identity you're actually building. Because you need at least a few relationships reflecting the new version back at you consistently, or the old identity stays the path of least resistance, right? Who wants to constantly be fighting? So you can't sustain an identity that no one around you can see. And this is exactly why I built the rooms that I built. The first room is the BESTies community, which is a daily mirror, a group of women actively building their best life in real time, who will call you the thing you're becoming, not the thing you used to be, because that's the only version of you they've ever met. I also have the Best Life Executive Reset Retreat, and it's an immersive mirror, one day, application only, built for executive women who need to be in a room where the elevated identity is simply the baseline, no explaining required. And then, if you really want to dive deep and continue the work, there's the 90-day Mastermind Accelerator, and it's open now for waitlist. And this is a structured mirror, 90 days in a defined group that holds you to the recast conversation you just had, milestone by milestone. So the new identity has somewhere consistent to be seen and practiced. You don't retire an old identity by willpower alone. You retire it by putting yourself in rooms that only know how to see the new identity. So if any of these sound interesting to you, links are below in the description, and we'd love to welcome you into the room. So now, your assignment before the next video, pick one person you haven't had the recast conversation with yet. Say the sentence out loud this week. Not the version in your head, the version out of your mouth to them. And here's the truth underneath everything we've covered across this series. The identity work is real, and the room you do it in is not optional. Change the internal structure, then change who's watching you live in it. That is exactly how it holds. I'm Dr. Tora Brown, and this is Best Life. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.